Hey, what's up, Zach here, and today I have got the Nike Kobe 5 Protro. This is the Caitlin Clark PE, and I guess they just had a run on these. There was another restock. Nice if I'd have known about that, but I've had these ones for a little bit, and I can say confidently now, after being able to have some time in the 5s, the 5 Protros, like newer models of the 5 Protros, and the new 6s, that people say that the 5 and 6s are interchangeable. I think not. Maybe in terms of performance, right? You know, they can do similar things, but in terms of your foot in the shoe, foot health, risk, this, that, and the other, I think there's enough differences. I think there's a reason why the 6s are used so much more in the NBA versus the 5s, and I think this is an interesting case study on a shoe that looks really similar to another one, but can mask some big differences on the inside. Whether or not you're gonna like these or not, that's obviously gonna be up to you. There is some great stuff about these, some not. There's enough in the mix here to have a really robust conversation about these. So starting off in the uppers, probably the thing I like most about them is the uppers. Number one, for the tongue being so thin, the lace irritation wasn't bad. It's got a nice big gusset. That gusset is netted, which is nice, a little more breathability. And it's got the honeycombing going way through it, so it breathes nice, but it also gives enough support, so you're not crushing laces. I did have some lace irritation. It's a little bit of a stiffer shoe in the uppers, but once it breaks in, it's really not that bad. Flat laces, much better than the Kobe 1 Protro, priced higher than this. Not a lot of padding in the forefoot. I'll tell you that. They need broken in to feel any bit comfortable in the forefoot. But that's, paneled material up here, like that heat bonded, that fused synthetic up here, encases those fly wires that come off of the lace lines. So you've got heat bonded synthetic paneling, right? Or this fused synthetic paneling going all throughout there. And then the fly wire is embedded into that, and then that is wrapped around the lace line. And so a lot of stability right there in the uppers. I mean, containment on this upper is pretty darn good. But then the nice thing is heel slippage, not bad at all. I mean, really none to speak of. I mean, maybe mild. And that is interesting because super stiff external heel counter. I mean, this thing actually kind of digs in. It hurts a little bit. I mean, I did break it in, which was good, but padded socks are nice for this. There's an internal heel counter, then this external one. It's just, it's a little bit rough, especially if your Achilles and where your heel bone meets your Achilles, kind of like where people would have a Haglund's deformity. This would be, if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. This is gonna be a little bit irritating, just kind of the way it's shaped, but it is strong. But with all that strength and then no heel slippage and everything else, it still breathes like crazy. It breathes through the tongue, breathes through the forefoot. That breathability test was really a, no pun intended, breath of fresh air on these things. And that's just because there's no padding, right? You're paying for that with the no padding. In terms of performance and in terms of weight that the uppers give you, to me, this is a really nice combination if you want lockdown, performance, kind of lightweight containment, but also something that isn't going to heat up a ton. Now it's gonna, this material is gonna heat up, right? But there is enough breathability in there to make it, at least tolerable for what the shoe gives you. All right, beginning into the midsole teardown, as you can see, I've got the LeBron 23s out here. Give you a little bit of comparison to a little bit of the philosophy of this shank profile. It's kind of similar to those. Now, number one, you have a full bed of Cushlon, and you have a 4-foot Zoom turbo unit, and you do have a pretty wide carbon fiber, bottom load, I should say, carbon fiber shank, and it is molded here under the arch. Now, this carbon fiber shank, kind of the same one as the LeBron 23, is similar to a lot of Nike shoes in that it's more fibrous, right? It actually does have fibers in it, you can see. Now, I've seen in some briefings on this or on some spec sheets that this is a carbon fiber and it's almost glued, or the resin has fiberglass in it too, so it's a little bit more thin and more flexible. It's not as stiff, which would make sense because to mold it like this would be quite expensive to do with a higher strength carbon fiber, and to do it over, and you see the LeBrons, whereas it's molded on the medial and lateral side. So it's almost like this carbon fiber ribbon on these two, and because this one's molded too. And so honestly, I like it because you can make a wider shank. right? You can use more of it, you can use more of the carbon fiber, and it's not as unforgiving. So I know I've seen some people, especially on these, say like, oh, it's cheap, it's this and that. And although that might be true because they are mixing different, they're mixing different materials in with the carbon fiber, to me, it's just a little bit more forgiving. You can do a little bit more interesting things with it. So I do like that, especially if it's bottom loaded too, which that's nice because a little more forgiving and all that stuff. So that's nice. Okay, so in the rear foot bounce height test got 34 centimeters, and then in the forefoot got 40 centimeters, which is pretty typical for Cushlon, and then a zoom unit on there. The one thing about the carbon fiber shank on the bottom is you can see it kind of starts right smack dab at the midfoot, and then it kind of crosses into that forefoot. It doesn't go, it doesn't send, it doesn't send leaflets, but it almost acts as a little bit of a springboard because it does meet up right under the Zoom turbo unit. There is a little bit of overlap there. And so it is gonna give a little bit more of a springboard effect. It's almost kind of like in the Jordan-Luka line, like in Luka Doncic's line, where it's supposed to have the step back plate. This, to me, kind of accomplishes a lot of the same thing, just using better materials, right? Kind of does it underfoot. So I do kind of like that. On the tensiometer though, it does take 69 newtons to get this thing to 45 degrees. You can see here, it is stiff, and that's because these air units they're tense. They are tense underfoot. You can feel them. And then in terms of torsional stability, this is where you can see that even though it's carbon fiber, you can move it, right? So there is a little bit of flexibility there, which like I said, I do like. It just shows you can achieve stiffness, right, or tension in the shoe, not just with, it does bend appropriately, I should say too, not with just, carbon fiber or plastic or nylon, but you can do it with the air too. So Nike does have some avenues there. So if you're looking for one of the reasons why Caitlin Clark might like the Kobe 5, might prefer a Kobe 5, I would say this setup, especially here in the mid to forefoot, might be something that she would gravitate toward just because it is like kind of an easy pivot and step back type shoe. Like I said, it just does everything kind of under the hood versus in something like the Luka shoes where it's got all these straps and everything, where they're kind of showing you the technology. I do think this does a much more efficient job of that. All right, but getting into the outsole tread, woof, this could have been its own video in and of itself. Now, number one, it is still the same EKG pattern on here. What I like about that is you do get some kind of, triangular points and then some more like gentle curved undulations. So you do get a really nice multi-directional pattern with different shapes. I do really like that. It is a full length tread pattern, even though, it's a rubber basically spacer, but there is rubber there. And then on the outside, you do get a casing there that is micro gridded. That'll come back in a second. Now, number one, I don't know if it's because of the Zoom turbo unit and how tensile the air is in these things, but they are uneven, right? So it juts out in the middle, like you could see it right when you take it out of the box, and then you put the, something solid on it, right? You put the measuring stick on it, and it's just rocking back and forth. And that hump up is right here in the middle. That's right where one of the undulations of the Zoom turbo unit is. And you're gonna see they just rock back and forth. Like they are not stable shoes up there. And you'll see where it's perfectly shown when I did the durability test on these things. So on the grip test ramp, honestly, not as good as I thought they would do. They slipped at 33 degrees, but then again, they were kind of moving on the grip test ramp, so it may have been that little bit of a nudge that got them to move, but it did move. So, there is that. So 33 degrees, and then you put it into the dust box, and then they do pick up quite a bit of dust, especially on the outside with the micro gridding, and then into the tread pattern where there is no micro gridding. But I do think it's because you can see here, there is just a macro grid here. I think that's what was holding on to some of the dust as well. And so it slipped at 29 degrees, which is on the lower end, right? With the dust test, it's measured in degrees. Like 29 is pretty bad. 32 is just sensational, right? It's a very small degree thing. So in terms of these in general, they're just middle of the road. Dusting, to me, not awesome. Okay, so on the durability test, this is one I didn't even need a more sensitive scale for. 30 seconds on that thing, they lost 1.3 grams. Like crazy. And look at them, right where that hump up is. Look at how much rubber was taken off by that thing. Now, a lot of them, even like the Kobe 1 Protro, it was, you could tell it was done, but you couldn't tell this much. Like I mean, it's pretty crazy. In the rear foot, you see it. On the lateral side, it was just taking off like crazy. And that's because, right, when it sits, it has to pick a side, right? It sits on the lateral side. And so this just got crushed too. So this was because it humps up so much, right? There's just not a lot of surface area to share the load. And this is what I talk about in terms of outdoor basketball shoes, where a rubber might be durable, it might be high in durometer. This was 17. Not super high, but not super low either. But when it's thin tread or it's just out there on its own and has no surface area, nothing else to share that friction, this is what happens. And this is a prime example of what happens. And so I don't care if this is on an indoor court or an outdoor court, you're gonna get abnormal wear on this tread, okay? You're gonna pay for that Zoom Turbo unit in the forefoot and the way it is housed in the shoe and just the way that the air is pushing on that cushion. So this may have been a manufacturing thing with my pair. I don't know. I didn't have any other new Kobe Protros to have. I should have gone out to the restock and gone and looked at a bunch of them and seen, but yeah, I just, you know, here nor there. But this was just, I mean, you could just see it. I mean, I know I'm keeping the camera on a long time, but it's worth showing. No other shoes I have done, including some of the softer Nike rubbers, have done this. So these are not gonna last long. Now, it does grab nice, has a nice traction profile, right? Especially once you break in the shoe, it does feel good, right? And the tread is nice in terms of dynamic grip. The dynamic grip is much better than the static grip on these things. Like I said, I think on the grip test ramp, it was a little bit of, you know, it was a little bit of sensationalism there because the shoe was, you know, number one, it's got a big angle of ascent in the forefoot, and I think it was just toggling on this, you know, this hump up in the front part of it, right? In that mound in the front part. And I think that's what was causing it to move. And my eyes seeing it move, but it's like, where do you draw the line, right? Like I gotta show where it's moving. So I'm sure if it were a better, you know, more flat profile and it wasn't toggling on the grip test ramp, it would have stayed for a few more degrees for sure. But in and of itself, on the grip test ramp, it is fair to Midland. The one thing I did notice though was the shoe felt more balanced once I ground this down and put them back on, right? So that's one thing, but then again, I mean, look what you got. So yeah, all in all, in terms of the outsole tread, and this is a real soapbox of mine, this is a nice cautionary tale of why even a harder rubber on outdoor courts with very thin tread or, you know, abnormalities or whatever still isn't a great product. You need surface area outside on those, you know, gritty asphalt courts, cement concrete courts to make the shoe last any bit of time. All right, but getting into the fit of the 5 Protro, this is a classic example of cutting off your nose to spite your face. There are so many good design elements to this, the shape, the lasting, so much good about it, and then so much that is just, yeah. Coming in the normal stuff, 28.7 centimeters in length, really no problem there. 5.1 centimeters of toe box height. That is pretty generous up here, especially for the shoe with this profile. 8.1 centimeters of heel width. Just goes to show you, no one is accusing the 5s of being a clunker, right? These are one of the more nimble shoes out there, worn by a lot of players who really put a premium on a shoe being light, fast, speedy, nimble, right? And it's still got a wide enough heel. 9.2 centimeters metatarsal width, 9.2 of toe box width, 39 centimeters of taper. So just pretty typical for a more speed-focused Kobe shoe, right? You know, quickness-focused Kobe shoe. These have a 20-degree inflare. Oh my God. Like, and now from the midfoot to the forefoot, it isn't that bad, but the rear foot is inflared too. These things are completely C-shaped. So you're really put on the outside of your foot always. I mean, that's why on the durability test, you saw them really start to take off rubber on the outside too. Because when you just set it down evenly, the shoe just wants to be on the outside because of how much it's C-shaped. So this is where on the outside of the shoe here and here, it's gonna get abnormal wear. Now, yes, that is gonna make the shoe feel really nimble, really flowing, easy to get from step to step, right? It's like the shoe's doing the work for you, right? You know, it's gonna feel like it up here, it's not really doing it, but it's gonna feel very flowing, very nimble. But there are trade-offs to that. Like I said, we'll get to that. In terms of a narrow medium foot, you just go true to size. A 2E, better be going up one size. A 4E, good luck. But if you want to wear it a 4E, then go up one size on these things. In terms of the snake bitten foot, we really need to have a discussion here. So in terms of a flat, neutral, or high arch, a flat, they're fine. Neutral, they're fine. A high arched, good luck. Ankle sprainers, good luck. This is a classic example of you can't just look at one part of the shoe. And even though it does have a super wide flange and a heel counter that is super stiff, this flange is actually made of a pretty, I mean, the rubber comes in at 17 on the durometer, but it just wasn't strong. Like, I could push right through it. It was really easy to push through, and that's because when you come down, you're already on the side, right? So you're already 3/4 of the way, right, to going over. Now, if you're someone that's over pronating, right, you're someone that's flat to the ground, you're not gonna care about this. This is gonna be okay, and the shoe's gonna feel really nimble. It does have great arch support, so that's fine. It's just if you're somebody with a higher arch, right, you're already there, ankle sprain, you're already there, like I could feel myself in these, I'm like, I am going over. It was touch and go with me on these things. So you gotta be the right foot type for these. And so these two, like I said, even though it's got the beautiful flange on, I mean, look here, goes into the flange here, then even a little extra flange up here, a little extra piece of rubber there, even though this really doesn't, this is really flimsy up here. The design is absolutely out of this world if it would just be a little bit more of a less aggressive shaped shoe. Plantar fasciitis, with an orthotic, they're okay. The cushion in this is not super forgiving. I mean, it's comfortable, but it needs an orthotic, especially because the rear foot is stiff. Achilles tendonitis, with an orthotic, I think they're fine because they are, like I said, when you break them in, they're better, like BI will do break in. They just need broken in, but I think with an orthotic, they are okay. In terms of forefoot pain, you have to be the right foot shape. So I'm gonna give it a blue X because if you're the right foot shape, and if you're narrow in these, you'll probably be okay, right? A neuroma, things like that, metatarsalgia, previous stress fracture, they're gonna be just fine, right? If you're the right foot shape. If you're like me, that has an elephant foot, forget it. It's gonna be terrible. Arch pain, yeah, they're good. Big toe arthritis, once again, you've gotta be the right foot type for these. You gotta be a narrow foot, right? You gotta be able to fit in there. And I think an orthotic in those is gonna do well, just kind of stretching out the uppers maybe and just kind of getting you in there. Knee, hip, and back pain, I think for the right foot. So blue X means the right foot. So yeah, I mean, in terms of an orthotic in these things, yeah, I mean, it'll fit. You know, this is a really maximalist orthotic. So I think a low profile orthotic in these, it needs to be these, they just don't really fit the profile of the shoe. So I would say a more low profile orthotic in there is gonna do really, really well. With this shoe, if you're somebody that wants the arch support, but don't wanna have to feel the shank under your foot, they're great. You want a more nimble shoe that's gonna feel super easy to get from step to step, they're great. Someone like Caitlin Clark, they're great, right? And they have so many good things about them. I feel like if you could just, take them and just do one, just make them straighter, right? And just widen out the base of the shoe and get rid of whatever this is, then they would be fantastic. It's just the 6s, to me, just do a little bit more things better than those. I know that's like really bad English, but that's just kind of how I feel. The 5s could be so great if you just tooled the fit of them a little bit. Now remember, Caitlin Clark is, and a lot of other NBA, the more elite NBA players are getting custom lasted shoes. So theirs aren't gonna be lasted like this. They're gonna fit better. So in terms of them, it might fit perfect and it might play perfect. That's why I always say, you can't just go blindly buying what your favorite player is wearing, especially because in elite NBA players, WNBA players, and even now in the NCAA men's and women's, a lot of the more elite ones are getting custom lasted shoes. For Caitlin Clark, this might be just perfect. And other players that are wearing the Kobe 5 Protro, they might fit just perfect, right? Because they're lasted to their foot, so they're not gonna have the ankle sprain issues and things like that. So there's lots of reasons why you shouldn't buy the shoes that your favorite players are wearing. If you want to check out all the reasons why, especially coming from Foot Doctor, click into this video right here. If you want to check out the Xenon Zen recovery slide that I designed, check it out in the description below. If you want to check out shoe customization, lower leg taping ebook, check that out in the description below. I got discount codes for all of it. I think I even have discount codes for these on Kickzone. I don't know if it's going to work with this, but you can check it out because I know that they do have these. Depending if they're in stock or not. So check that out. Also, if you want to find the best shoe for you, check out courtshoefinder.com. I'll link in the description below. Completely free app that shows you how to find the best shoe for you. You just type in all the different, don't type it in, you click in all the different parameters that you care about most, and it'll spit out some shoe recommendations for you, and they are ranked. It is completely free to use. That's linked in the description below. And of course, make sure you subscribe down below. I'll see you in the next video.